welcome to Good Morning Transfers on deadline day, and we have made a signing of our own because joining Michael, Mark, JD and Dave back there, it's former England forward Sue Smith. Welcome to you, Sue, and welcome to all of you at home or at work or wherever you are watching us. All right, we have got a fantastic hour ahead. Here's what's coming up.
Is this going to be a deadline day to remember or forget? And could Bournemouth be about to lose one of their key men? We'll be hearing from Eddie Howe any moment now.
Spurs are looking for a striker and Palace are looking to add some of the best young talent in the Championship to their squad. But will they get them?
Deadline day means the hunt for forwards. Giroud, Cavani, Jared Bowen all could potentially have new destinations.
We are right across the EFL as well. Plenty of teams looking to make signings. West Bromwich Albion, Brentford, Sheffield Wednesday, Stoke, all looking to do business today.
Yeah, I'm here. Watford's training ground. They have got one final box to check off on their wish list. Can they do it today?
And Wolves are another club shopping in the January striker sale. We'll bring you the latest live from Molyneux.
This is it then, the final day of the transfer window. It's an 11 o'clock deadline in England. Scottish clubs have an extra hour while the market shuts at 5 p.m. in Germany, while it is 7 o'clock in Italy. Deal sheets at the ready, everybody. So who are we going to be talking about the most today? Well, it's certainly not Bruno Fernandes, thankfully, but Manchester United are still trying for signings. We'll hear from Eddie Howe very, very shortly live on Bournemouth turning down a bid for Josh King. Olivier Giroud has been close to Inter, but will a Premier League move materialise late on? Dries Mertens' contract is running out in Naples. That makes him a significant target. And it's one that we've been talking about for the last 24 hours. Jared Bowen has been lighting up the Championship for the last 3 seasons. Is today the day for a Premier League move? And what about Willian José at Real Sociedad? He has missed their last 3 games with the prospect of a potential move to Tottenham hanging over him. We are all set and ready to go today. Liverpool did their business early, didn't they, bringing in Takumi Minamino? We can go live now to Vinny O'Connor, who is at Melwood for us. Vinny, are we expecting any late surprises where you are?
Well, Jurgen Klopp should give us a definitive answer on Liverpool's plans for this deadline day when we speak to him around 1:30. As you say, they did business early in bringing in Takumi Minamino, a bargain price as well at £7.25 million. Even before we see his true capabilities in the Premier League, you can only imagine that his value is going to rise a deal at that price. And we also told you earlier in this transfer window as well about Timo Werner and Liverpool having no plans currently to sign him in this window or indeed the next window. But obviously, like a host of top European clubs, they will be monitoring him, and that makes sense, doesn't it, considering he's one of European football's hottest properties at the moment. It'd be interesting to see in terms of outgoings whether there's any movement as regards Xherdan Shaqiri. When I say movement, we know of the interest from Roma and Sevilla. It's a case of whether anyone is going to come in for him and test Liverpool's resolve. I think if anyone did, then I can only see it going one way, and that's after what Jurgen Klopp said the other week, that he's not going to reduce his options. He's not prepared to reduce his options at this present moment in time. So we await any kind of real developments here at Melwood today, but as I say, we will hear from Jurgen Klopp when we speak to him in that news conference around about 1:30 this afternoon.
OK, Vinny, thank you very much for the moment. It's been a rollercoaster window for Manchester United supporters, hasn't it? The chase for Bruno Fernandes has been drawn out, but finally it was all confirmed. It means that United can tick that creative midfielder box on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's wish list. This is what the manager said back in September. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see its forwards will recruit. That's what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in September. Well, they haven't so far, and there is not long to go for Manchester United.
Yeah, Dave, thank you. We're going to talk about Manchester United in a moment, but 2 bits of breaking news just coming into us. One of them, it's not really breaking news, it's confirmation of something that we said last night. We're going to hear from Steve Bruce in 25 minutes' time. That's when his news conference is, and we've got a member of our transfer team, Keith Downey, there. But he has just been live on TalkSport, and he has just confirmed that he's failed in a bid to bring Olivier Giroud to Newcastle. We know we wanted him earlier in the window. Looked like Giroud was going to Italy. He's not now. but he's also not going to Newcastle. But we will hear from him shortly. And there is an incoming at Norwich as well. It's a youngster, left-back, Sam McCallum from Coventry. They've signed him for an undisclosed fee. That fee always comes out eventually because we always find out. He's only 19. Don't worry, Coventry fans, because you've got your money for him and you've still got the player. That's because Norwich have loaned him back to you until the end of the season. Coventry looking to get promoted from League One and go into the Championship. It is a real rise for him because in the last 18 months, he's gone from non-league and is now officially a Premier League player. He made his debut last Christmas. Before that, he was actually in the 8th tier of English football for Herne Bay in Kent, which is his local team. He was spotted at Jamie Vardy's V9 Academy in the local league. So, did well at Coventry, so well that he has now joined Premier League Norwich, but he's back on loan to Coventry until the end of the season. Right, we want to hear from you. It's deadline day. Same hashtag though, hashtag transfer talk. We'll get through as many tweets as we can. Loads are coming in already. But on Manchester United, there was some big news about their pursuit of Joshua King. In the last hour or so, this one's really stepped up. Mark McAdam, you know Bournemouth very well. What's the latest on this?
This is one of those moments where you go, deadline day is here. I went to bed last night about 7:30. I woke up at midnight with a whole list of messages and missed calls all about Joshua King. Now, Bournemouth have rejected a bid from Manchester United for the striker. He scored 45 goals in 131 Premier League starts since joining the Cherries in the summer of 2015, the year they got promoted to the Premier League. He only cost the club £1 million, and that went for a tribunal at the time. This is quite significant because, as we know, Joshua King was a former Manchester United player. He came through the academy. He was in the reserve side that was managed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I've spent a lot of time with Joshua King over the last 4 years or so. And in every interview I've done, he's always reiterated to me his connection with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the importance he played as a youngster coming up through Manchester United, the way he helped him, developed him, obviously a former striker himself, but not just on the field, off the field. So this is a really significant movement, really, in terms of the connection between Joshua King and Solskjaer. And obviously we know that Manchester United are absolutely desperate to get a striker in to replace the injured Marcus Rashford. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has targeted a man he knows well, someone he's known for a very long time, and someone who can, without question, do the business in the Premier League.
Yeah, I've got some tweets about this actually already. A Manchester United fan saying, Manchester United, I like Josh King bid, makes sense for me. He could be the striker that scores a lot of scrappy goals that we never score. And Pete says, he doesn't mention Josh King, he says Giroud to Manchester United. That's exactly the type of player that Ollie hinted at the other day, so why not? A few people have been saying that as well, actually. But Sue Smith, we know that Manchester United want a striker. Why Josh King?
Well, they have been desperate for a striker. They've been linked with a lot of different names, haven't they? But you just think Joshua King is just a striker that fits Manchester United, fits Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's versatile. You know, he can play in that 9 on his own. He can play in a 2 if you want to play him with Martial. He can play out wide. He's proven in the Premier League, a proven goal scorer, so he's not going to need that time to adapt. I think it'd be a perfect signing for them.
The thing about Joshua King as well is you have to sort of ignore his goals tally because his game is not just about goals. For every goal he gets, he'll get an assist, and that's something that stats don't tell you. He works hard, he runs the channel, he sits on the last shoulder, he gets in behind, he causes problems. He's big physically. He's one of those strikers you do not want to play against him because he offers something in every capacity.
We said it yesterday. We talk about Man United within this window and future windows. They need to get a player that's got that Manchester United DNA. They come from a lineage of winners and champions, so they need people that's going to have those ambitions and understand what the club's DNA is about. And you're talking about coming through the academy and having the relationship already with the manager, understanding the club. That ticks 3 major boxes for any Manchester United signing. And then adding the attributes as well, to direct, in behind, quick, strong. I mean, literally, you're creating a mould of a perfect Man United striker.
Yeah, well, Scott says Joshua King or Alfredo Morelos. He'd be happy if they get those in right now. And Gary, another Manchester United fan, says that they need to get Marko Arnautovic in. We talked about him enough in the summer. We had a month without him this time. We are hoping to hear from Eddie Howe on that situation with Joshua King shortly. So we'll bring that news conference when we can. But we're just going to go back to Olivier Giroud, actually. So Steve Bruce has said that that's not going to happen. He's not going to go to Newcastle. We thought he was going to go to Inter Milan. If Giroud is saying no to Newcastle, Michael, surely he wants to play. So either he's going to be told he's going to be playing at Chelsea or he's looking elsewhere.
I'm told he's going to be looking elsewhere, and I'm told he'd like to join Tottenham if he could look, I've been saying all week on this show and on social media, I deem the deal very unlikely because I think it will rest on Chelsea bringing in a replacement that Frank Lampard has spoken about constantly. He wanted more firepower against Newcastle. He wanted it a bit more against Hull. But it's a wait and see, big wait and see. You've got some breaking news, Emre.
Yeah, no, it's not breaking news, but we do want to hear now live from Eddie Howe, the Bournemouth manager, especially situated with that Joshua King situation. Got a big smile on his face, and I know Mark McAdam goes to his news conferences quite often. He's not been so happy recently just because of results, but we're hoping things to pick up, and let's hear what he's got to say.
Mm-hmm. Are you still in the market? Can we expect some activity here today? We're looking, as always. We've never really been in the market for anything, for any permanent signings this window. We're looking at loans and seeing what we can do. Very difficult to find players who can make the difference available on loan at this moment. So we are where we are. I don't imagine too much happening today, but can never say never. Talk us through the situation then with Joshua King, if you will. That's a nice way of putting it. It's a difficult one for me to comment too much on. I'm not going to deny anything that you've read, but I don't want to talk too much about it. There's still a day to go. Who knows what's going to happen between now and the deadline closing. So Josh is much valued and loved by us, and obviously another club has seen how good he is. So let's wait and see.
That club, obviously, we know is Manchester United. Just talk us through how crucial is he to your team and obviously to the relegation fight as well?
Yeah, he's a massive, massive part of our team, has been for a long period of time. He brings that unique pace and strength that he has, coupled with a really good technical ability and an eye for goal. So he's, I think, been a massive part of what we've done the last few years here. Can play a number of positions as well for us, so that versatility is key. We've missed him since he's been out injured. So speaking as the manager of the club, I'd be very reluctant to lose a player of that quality. And I think the difficulty from our perspective is how late it is in the window. You know, a day to go is incredibly difficult to find a replacement for a player of that quality.
If they came back now with a counter offer that was deemed high enough, would he be let go?
That's a difficult question for me to answer because it's not my call at the end of the day. That's going to be between the chief executive and the owner of the football club. And that's why I said at the start I don't want to go too deep into it because a lot of these things are out of my control. All I can say is I love Josh as a player and a person, respect him greatly, and I know his situation. I know what Manchester United means to him with his history connected with the club. So I understand his position. Let's wait and see.
Another player that you've been looking at this window, Jacob Brun-Larsen. Where do things stand with him? Are you still interested? Is it still a possibility that he could come here, even on loan?
I'm not going to rule anything out. Difficult to comment on other people's players. I've never done that, but I'm not going to rule anything out at this moment.
Okay, Nathan Ake, there has been a lot of interest in him. I know no formal bids yet, but is there a possibility that he could...
Yeah, we'll let you know what he said about Nathan Ake shortly, but we've got to talk there about Joshua King because, Mark, that was really interesting. I thought that would be straight battered. That wasn't straight battered. It was ideally... Well, he said we'd be reluctant to let him go, but he knows what Manchester United means to Joshua King, and it would be difficult to find a replacement in these next 12, just under 13 hours. Whatever, right? 13 hours, 45 minutes, right? Thank you, JD. Okay, so he didn't say he is not going. And normally, Eddie Howe is a lot firmer than that.
Yeah, normally he keeps his card so close to his chest that he can't even see him himself. He said there, it's out of his control, which suggests that obviously higher up the food chain, the owner, the chief exec are going to be making decisions on this one. And it's one of those situations you can see Joshua King going into Eddie Howe's office and saying, Gaffer, it's Manchester United, it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, this is the side I want to play for, this is my opportunity. At 28 years old, this is potentially his last big contract for one of the biggest clubs in world football. I've given you 4 years, I love everything about Bournemouth, I love being a part of this journey, I want to stay here, but this chance might not come again. So really interesting stuff from Eddie Howe there. It's going to be one of those ones, as Eddie said himself, let's wait and see.
Yeah, OK, that is a wait and see. So much to come on Good Morning Transfers on Deadline. We've got a number of the transfer teams stationed around the country. We'll be live with Wolves and Anton Tolui. There he is. We're going to be live with him next. Another member of our team, Emma Payton, is also with us. She's live at Watford's training ground. We will be live to both of them. Hello, Emma. TikTok, which I didn't even know what it was until last night. We've created the Deadline Day Challenge, so get involved. We've had a go at this morning.
Breaking news here, and it's a done deal. Sky Sports News can confirm that this big money move is over the line, and it's probably the signing of the transfer window. Live images here from the player the whole world is talking about.
Tell you what, Sue, you have still got some serious pace, but I can see why you're not happy with that picture we just had on the sidebar of you as well. They're a bit of an old one. Right, OK, our reporter's out and about. Anton's at Wolves. He showed us what he's up to on TikTok. Anton didn't even get in it.
Where was he?
He wasn't even in it.
No one even know it was him.
He was late. He got the cameraman to do it. That's what I reckon. Right, we've also had a bit of fun with TikTok before the show. Let's have a look at how JD, what he gets up to every morning. This is true.
True.
Damn, your girl so fine, but her breath is like whoa. She say she wanna dance, but she don't know how to whoa. I'm iced out, ooh, looking like a star. Whoa.
That's just my everyday normal routine. I don't need Deadline Day for that.
I thought it was good, JD. I like the yellow hat as well. Right, if you think you've got, a best friend, well, it's Deadline Day. Michael caught up with his best friend before the show.
Best friends, Jack.
That's nice.
So cringe.
That was horrific. I hadn't seen that one. Right, OK. You can watch over on Sky Sports' TikTok account. Have a go. Use the hashtag Deadline Day Challenge. We'll be showing some of the best from you at home on Transfer Talk at midday.
And actually what people don't know is that I really dislike Michael Bridge really badly. There's been a pretty good upturn in form, hasn't there, at Watford since Nigel Pearson came to the club, despite them still being in that relegation zone. Their wish list, they're looking for a defender to tick that final box today. And Emma Payton is at Watford's training ground for us today. Can we expect any movement there?
Yes, Dave, I'm hopeful there will be one or two incomings here today, but I do need to get onto TikTok as well because I haven't been involved in any of that so far. But yeah, we know they're in the market for a centre-back. They had a loan offer for Burnley's Ben Gibson turned down earlier this week. It's thought that Burnley would rather want to make that a permanent deal. Of course, he did join Burnley on a club record transfer back in 2018. He's only made 6 appearances since then, so there might be movement on that one today. They've been linked with a whole host of fullbacks, haven't they? Birmingham City's left back Christian Pedersen is one that they're really interested in, and could potentially happen. He's been an integral part of Birmingham City this season, though. He's played in every single one of their league games. Danny Rose, of course, was someone that a number of Premier League clubs were interested in, but he has since moved a little bit closer to home and gone up to Newcastle, hasn't he? A lot of Watford fans on Twitter saying they'd like to bring in a striker. Who doesn't want a striker in this January transfer window? They've got Danny Welbeck returning from injury tomorrow. Nigel Pearson confirmed yesterday he will play some part in their game against Everton tomorrow, but of course you imagine it will take a bit of time for him to get back up to sort of full fitness, really. Troy Deeney missed part of the season. He was out injured and Watford really missed him, didn't they? So I think there's a bit of worry amongst fans that they would need to strengthen in that area in case there was an injury. That's in terms of incomings. I can't see a striker happening because, like I said, everyone wants a striker. But in terms of outgoings, we've got some news here this morning that Watford are in talks with West Brom about moving Domingos Quina up to West Brom on loan today. Of course, I'll bring you any more on that news as it happens. West Brom, of course, going really well in the Championship at the moment, battling it out with Leeds at the top of the table. So, yeah, look, outgoings could happen, and I'm really hoping there will be one or two incomings here at Watford today.
OK, Emma, keep those fingers crossed. Now, Nuno Espirito Santo has been very vocal, hasn't he, about the need for signings at Wolves. There's been a couple of outgoings as well. Jesus Vallejo and Patrick Cutrone have both left the club. But as you can see, will the manager be fairly content with what they've done in this window? Those wish list boxes have been ticked. Anton Tolui is live at Compton for us this morning. And there's been significant action at Wolves over the last couple of days, Anton.
Actually, Molly, I'm off to Compton a bit later. There has been movement, and that checklist, technically, Dave, is ticked off. Now, they've got a defensive midfielder in, they've got a striker in, and they've got a winger in. But the defensive midfielder and the striker, they're youngsters. They're both going into the developmental squad in Enzo Lourdes and Leandro Campana. So it's whether they get a senior striker. And now half the Premier League wants to sign a striker today, don't they? But Wolves do things a little differently. They go outside the box. They might bring in a name that you don't necessarily think is available. And they obviously link up a lot with Jorge Mendes as well. So he can make sure players are available that you don't necessarily expect. Wolves have been very interested in Nelson Oliveira. He was left out of the AEK Athens squad for their cup game last night, by the way. However, it's my understanding that there has been no new bid for him since last Friday. So if Wolves do want to get him in late, they're going to have to leave it late. But it's going to be interesting to see what Nuno wants to do with his squad. They're at the moment having their final training session before that big game against Manchester United on Saturday night football. And as you can see, we're here at Molineux, so I'm going to take advantage of being here because I'm going to sit where the big man sits, because I'm going to hear from him live later on Sky Sports News. We're going to speak to Nuno Espirito Santo. After that final training session, we're going to come off the training pitch. He's going to talk to us, and I'm going to ask him directly about what he thinks about whether he wants any more signings. Because as you said, Dave, he's been quite vocal. He wants senior players. Only one has come in Daniel Podence. Will they get another one in today? It's going to be fascinating. And also, TikTok. I contributed to TikTok, and yet I get grief for it because I'm not in it. Unbelievable. Especially JD with his little dance. If I could dance like JD, believe me, that would be all over my TikTok.
All right, Anton. Challenge accepted. You'll do that for Transfer Talk at 12. Right, OK, talking to JD, we're going to lose him in a moment. But just before that, we've got a couple of transfer news lines just into us. It's deadline day. It happens all the time. All right, Ravel Morrison. Remember, we talked about him in the summer, signing for Sheffield United. He is set to join Middlesbrough. Don't know if that's permanent or loan at this stage, but Ravel Morrison leaving Sheffield United for Middlesbrough. And another one as well, who was also a free agent in the summer, is Albert Adoma. He signed for Nottingham Forest. Well, already Huddersfield are in talks to take him from Nottingham Forest to Huddersfield, but Cardiff City are also interested. So a couple of clubs wanting Albert Adoma, and Ravel Morrison is going to Middlesbrough. Right, keep using the hashtag Transfer Talk to have your say. But for now, we make your transfer our own, because JD is heading straight to West Ham now following the breaking news involving Jared Bowen. So off you go, JD. Thank you for this morning. We're going to be live to you at the club's training ground a little later on. And in comes Dave Reed, who steps up and will join us on the panel.
Am I a substitute again?
You are back in. Yeah, it's a couple of times. Right, hashtag Transfer Talk on Twitter. JD, have a good day. See you in a few minutes.
Absolutely love this job, don't you?
Right, just before the break, we sent JD off to West Ham because of that news regarding Jared Bowen. He's run off and he's left his phone. All right, a reporter on deadline day forgetting your phone is not a good idea. I think he'll be running back in a panic very soon. OK, Sheffield United won't be panicking because they broke their club record to sign Sander Berge from Genk yesterday. We know that Chris Wilder is targeting 2 more players, so will we see any late additions? Let's ask Tim Thornton, who is at Bramall Lane. Hi, Tim.
Yeah, morning, Tom. I've got my phone, don't worry. It's been a busy window here so far. 3 in, 2 more to go. And I can tell Sheffield United fans those 2 deals they are working on are on track, and we expect both of them to get done. The first of them, Panagiotis Retsus, a defender from Bayer Leverkusen. He will undergo the second part of his medical this morning. And Richaro Zivkovic, a pacey striker, a Dutch under-21 striker, he also is on track to sign. That's been a more complicated deal because he's arriving from a Chinese club. So, yeah, if they can get those 2 in, that will be 5 new signings. In terms of outgoings, Ravel Morrison looks set to join Middlesbrough, and Leon Clark is the other one that could go out today. Chris Wilder told us yesterday there hadn't been much interest in him yet, but he was expecting clubs to inquire and he put him out there as someone who would be a very, very good signing for any club on deadline day. So we're expecting a very, very busy one here. And here's a question for you back in the studio, Tom. Have Sheffield United done the best business in the Premier League during this January transfer window? It's been a very good one for them.
Tim, I think they were very happy with it. We may well talk to our transfer team about that later on. Thanks, Tim. JD still hasn't collected his phone, by the way. Right, OK, it's been very quiet at Manchester City so far. Could they spring into life on deadline day? Let's ask Ben Ransom, who's at the club's training ground. Ben, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. In August, I brought you Scott Carson, so don't say Manchester City don't ever do anything on deadline day. There is a bit of an update. I mean, more likely than anything, it'll be young players that will be coming into Manchester City. We've seen that happen in the past. And there's an update on Yan Couto, who's a really exciting young Brazilian player, won the Under-17 World Cup with Brazil last year. And it appears that Manchester City have jumped above Barcelona in the queue to try and get his signature. He's available once he turns 18 in the summer. Manchester City, reports from Brazil are saying that Manchester City have agreed a deal worth up to £12 million to sign the Brazilian fullback. Now, I'm told it's not quite as far along as that, but certainly Manchester City appear to be in pole position to sign him, which would be a great bit of news and a great bit of business moving forward. He's one for further down the line. As for today, well, there's interest from the Championship in a couple of players already out on loan in the Championship, but perhaps not playing as much football as they would like. Ara Muric, Kosovan international goalkeeper, and also Matty Smith, Welsh international midfielder. Muric is at Nottingham Forest, Matty Smith is at QPR. Neither, as I say, is getting the game time that Manchester City want them to be getting at this stage of their development. So potentially there could be interest in both of those. They could be recalled and then perhaps sent out to another club on loan. Either way, we'll keep you across any developments as they happen, and we'll hear from Pep Guardiola himself, let's not forget, at lunchtime.
You join us in the heart of the newsroom here at Sky Sports News. I've just nipped off set for a moment and take a look at this. Now, I assume this note has been left by Dharmesh and Kave, reserving desks at Sky Sports News. Can you believe that? This is a hot desk environment, Dharmesh and Kave, so unfortunately, I'm going to sit there. But anyway, this is the heart of the newsroom, and this is where it all happens on deadline day. Just over here, we've got our multi-platform team who are tapping away on their keyboards, ready to load everything onto the website, skysports.com, and the app as well. We've got our transfer blog up and running, where it's a rolling blog, breaking news as it happens from up and down the country. Here, just in front of us, we've got our assignments desk. Now, these guys look after all of our cameramen on the road, cameramen and women, so they don't work for too long, which is very important. As we come round the front here, we have got some of our news desk on left of camera, and these guys are putting in all the different calls we have to make to our reporters, to our clubs over deadline day. We've got our international coordinator over there who looks after Sky in Italy and Sky Germany as well. This is our production desk. Now, these two men are very important at the moment. This is Tom and this is Niall. They're looking after all of our lives with reporters, so make sure you give them a bit of appreciation today. And our production desk over there, they're going to be looking after all the pictures of players arriving at training grounds, arriving for medicals. So they'll be looking after all the pictures when they come into the building, turning them round and getting them straight on air. And then we have the best bit of the building, which is the presenter's set, and this is where everybody sits on air, and it's very close to each other, as you can see.
Yeah, you come and take your seat, Dave, and look who I can see over there. Can you see him? JD, forgotten something?
Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, I'm not going to get down the A46
right, get straight off. You're going to be late now, all right?
I didn't know
the whole point he's going is to talk about this Jared Bowen news, and we're going to have to talk about it without him then, aren't we? JD, have a great day at West Ham. It will be a lot better now that you've got your phone. Right, OK, so West Ham look like they've won the race to sign Jared Bowen. He's presently on his way to London to have a medical, and the deal will be worth up to £20 million. Right, we understand a deal between the two clubs was agreed overnight. Personal terms also agreed. Now, Michael, I'm going to come to you because Crystal Palace were thought to be his preferred destination, but they're now concentrating on other targets. Is that right?
Look, Palace were in talks yesterday over the transfer of Jared Bowen, but look, I did say yesterday as well on Twitter there's come kind of cautious optimism because other clubs, when they see it, Jared Bowen is on about 10 clubs' radars in the Premier League. He's a very, very good young English forward. Proved it time and again for Hull City. It looks like West Ham are going to have a massive boost in their fight to stay up if he does join, a fee going up to £20 million. Palace fans, stick with me. We've got the whole day. Stop moaning on Twitter. We're going to be all right. Don't you worry. I can feel it. Remember last year, Batshuayi, Batman returns. We'll have more on Nathan Ferguson later. But Sue, let's get to Jarrod Bowen, because I know you've been very impressed with him as well. When you've watched him on Soccer Specials, it does seem a bit of a no-brainer, whoever gets him.
Oh, definitely. There have been a lot of Premier League clubs that wanted to sign Jarrod Bowen. He's a top player. Every time I've watched him play, you know, he's exciting. He's versatile as well. He can play across the front line. He's very direct. He's got power. He's got pace. Clearly scores goals, and he has actually played in the Premier League before, only 7 times. But so he's been there. He's done it. He knows what it's about. It is a step up from the Championship, but I think it'd be a top signing for anybody that gets him.
Mark, you've seen a lot of him as well. He scores a lot of goals. What's his best position?
I don't think he has one, really. I think he's just a clever player, like Sue said. He can play anywhere in that front three. But what impresses me most about Bowen is his movement in and around the box. And he's got the ability just to lose a defender and then one snapshot of goal, and invariably it hits the back of the net. And that's what's most impressive. Now, he is a player that has been on the radar of a number of Premier League sides. He had obviously a lot of clubs interested in him as the window went on. Hull City were desperate to try and hold on to him because he was obviously a huge part of what they're doing. They're chasing Championship playoff spaces as well, so they didn't want to lose him. But the big question is, can he do it at the highest level? He's going to have the chance at West Ham. If he can't do it at West Ham, he can definitely do it in the Championship. So, in one respect, he's a player that's an asset. He's young, he's ambitious, there's a lot of time ahead of him. But it's just that movement in and around the box and that clinical finishing is what separates him from a lot of other Championship players.
Dave, there's always quite a bit of scepticism when a player does try to make that step up from the Championship to the Premier League. But it's worked before. And when you're a young British or Irish player, your value doesn't tend to go down.
No. I think it's for Jarrod Bowen, it's interesting because Sue mentioned that he played in the Premier League, but it's almost like actually getting relegated with Hull was the best thing for his career, because Hull had to move players on and then he was able to get game time, and he's flourished in that game time over the last 3 years. His record proves that. Now, I mean, Michael said 10 there. I'm sure he would have been looked at by near 15, 16 of those Premier League clubs. And other clubs in the Championship, I know, have been looking at him as well and looking around at his availability. There's no doubt that when he moves to a Premier League side, yes, I mean, his value will rise because of that. For West Ham, I think he will be a very good signing if it happens. But for Jarrod Bowen, I think he's waited for this opportunity. He wasn't probably sure whether it was going to happen now or in the summer, but as things tend to happen in January, everything gets pushed to the last week, and sometimes, as we're finding out now, to the last couple of days. And now he's got this opportunity, which there's no doubt that he deserves.
So Hull potentially losing Jarrod Bowen and Kamil Grosicki. Big blow for them in the Championship. Right, the latest episode of the Transfer Talk podcast is available on iTunes and Spreaker right now. But next on Good Morning Transfers, we'll be discussing Olivier Giroud next, as Steve Bruce confirms they won't be signing the striker. And we will hear from Bruce next.
Welcome back to Good Morning Transfers. This is what we have been doing throughout the January transfer window, every day, 9 a.m. and 12 midday as well. Remember, we love to hear from you on the programme as well. Hashtag deadline day today. Jimmy says Mertens to Chelsea would be the best deadline day business in a few years. Dale says, come on Tottenham, we need to make a statement, go out and get Cavani. And Dylan says Chelsea need to sign a striker, please. And morning to Harrison, who is sat at home. He says, I will not be moving from my TV screen all day, looking forward to some big deals. Well, I can tell you, Harrison, you are allowed to leave your TV screen because we are streaming on Twitter and on YouTube today, so there is no excuse to miss any of the action. At midday is our Transfer Talk show, and on the programme today we have Adi Oladipo and we have James Green. What are you looking forward to the most this afternoon?
I think it's about expecting the unexpected. I think everybody should be expecting the unexpected. We saw it this morning. Joshua King, a bid by Manchester United, turned down for the Bournemouth striker, expecting them to come in with another bid. The buzz around the place, though, it's exciting. There's loads of clubs who need to do business, and it's also the window for searching for a striker, isn't it?
I like it. Strikers, 4 strikers. Olivier Giroud, what's going on? I spoke about him early on in the transfer window. It seemed almost certain that it was going to go into Milan. We don't know what's going on with that, but we do know Newcastle had a bid rejected. Maybe Tottenham, possibly. Could he go Chelsea, Tottenham, Lazio are looking at him as well, Lyon. So I'm so focused on Olivier Giroud. We're going to go into Milan. We have, 13 hours, 12 minutes and 34 seconds for him to get that move on. So we'll see.
Very good. OK, we've already heard live from Eddie Howe today, and we promised you before the break we were going to find out what was going on at Newcastle, Tom.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We know that Steve Bruce has confirmed that he's failing a bid to bring Olivier Giroud to Newcastle, and Keith Downey, member of our transfer team, has just been talking to Steve Bruce. He's got a few good lines out of this one, but let's hear from Steve Bruce now talking about that failed bid for Giroud.
Somebody who we did inquire about, and it was not possible.
I mean, that, I suppose it shows ambition of the club that you were even looking for someone like that, like Giroud.
We had a bid accepted, which would have nearly got to a transfer window. Record transfer 8 days ago, where we had it accepted by the club, and unfortunately the player wanted to stay where he was. So, we were active, we were really, really active, and it didn't quite happen. So, as I said to you, we'll just have to wait and see what we can do in the summer.
Was that for Giroud or for someone else?
For someone else.
Steve, can we get your thoughts on your new signing, Danny Rose, who arrived yesterday? You described him as a class act last week. How pleased are you to get him in?
Well, look, he's playing for England in the World Cup qualifier in September and playing in the European Cup final a couple of months before that. So we're delighted to get him. He's a top player, the kid, and is arguably a good left back in England. That's why he plays for the national team and played for them so well. So to get somebody that quality, we're delighted to get him. And I think the big thing of moving up north suited him, which makes a rare change, I have to tell you. But it was good to get him through the door.
He spoke to the club yesterday and said the chippies up here are better. That was part of his decision.
Well, look, he's a northern lad, and he's from Leeds, isn't he? So little things like that are a bit of an advantage to him. But it didn't take much persuading. I think I reminded him of the crowd last week against Oxford, and he knows he's walking into a big football club with a huge fan base and somewhere where he can come and enjoy himself, hopefully for 4 months, and we'll see where that takes us in the summer.
It sounded as though he played a part in it as well. He was keen before even any approach was
I think
made.
He was keen. Yeah, I mean, look, he was keen. I think whatever's happened at Tottenham has happened, and he needs to have a fresh challenge. And obviously, with the problems that we've had to Dummett and with problems that we've had to Jetro, who was operated on yesterday, then to get a quality player like himself, then that can only help us.
And you just touched on it there just a moment ago about the summer. Is this a straight loan, or is there an option to buy?
It's a straight loan, to be fair. All the details on top of that, you're going to ask somebody else. But look, as far as I'm concerned, he's here till the summer, and if he does well, and we've got a possibility to try and make it permanently, then we'll act in the summer.
Yeah, loads of great lines there from Steve Bruce. We're going to get to Giroud in just a moment, but just some breaking news into us. And Hull are set to sign Peterborough winger Marcus Maddison. What a signing that would be for them. Grant McCartney's the Hull manager. He was the Peterborough manager. This one makes sense. And of course, he would replace Jared Bowen if that deal to West Ham does go ahead. But on Steve Bruce there, really interesting. I know we were hearing from him on Olivier Giroud. He said they had a near club record transfer for a midfielder accepted 8 days ago, but quoting from Steve Bruce, unfortunately the player wanted to stay where he was. All right, so Newcastle certainly trying to spend money under Steve Bruce on a midfielder. Okay, on Giroud, he said that he was someone he wanted, but he couldn't get him. And he talked about Danny Rose there as well. And he also says that Ki Sung-young could be on the move today, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Okay, Keith Downey certainly will. But on Olivier Giroud, Michael, how surprising is it? It's deadline day and he still hasn't moved, and we were talking about it from day one.
For me, Tom, it's pretty clear. I think if Chelsea get someone in, then they'll allow either Olivier Giroud or Michy Batshuayi to move. From my understanding, Giroud wants to stay in London and sign for Spurs. Now that, we'll be talking about Spurs, I'm sure, throughout the day. My colleague Paul Gilmore is in Enfield, Tottenham's training ground. Chelsea and Tottenham, I'll say it again and again and again, they don't do business. However, if Chelsea want to bring a striker in and Giroud wants to join one club, then they'll probably have little choice. But there's so ifs and buts here. Massive wait and see. And that's why we love an 11 p.m. deadline and not a 5.
Yeah, and Sue, I mean, Giroud has been wanted. We've talked about him being wanted by so many clubs in this window. You can see why.
Yeah, of course. Well, at the moment, he's probably third choice striker, isn't he? Behind Abraham and Batshuayi. When you hear of the likes of Hazard saying he loved playing alongside him, he was that bounce player, you know, so he could play off him. It helped his game. He's clearly a top-class striker, isn't he? He's got the experience, and I think he would add to any side that he goes to. But it's just interesting. You keep hearing different reports of where he wants to go. You would think he clearly wants to stay in London, and you can understand that. If he's got his family there, and it's less of an upheaval, I suppose, if you stay in the area that you're from.
And right now, he's a hungry player as well. It's fair to say things perhaps haven't worked out at Chelsea, so guess what he wants to do? He wants to prove Frank Lampard wrong and go and sign for Tottenham or someone else, score a hatful of goals and go, hang on, I'm still good enough.
Well, he needs to be playing, doesn't he, for Euro 2020 as well, so he needs that game time if he wants to continue his international career.
I must say, I think it's a small chance, but if it came off, what a story, because there's Arsenal fans of mine, like, that's it, he's forgotten about.
But that's it. Does it matter to the Tottenham fans, though, that he has played for Chelsea and Arsenal?
Tottenham need a striker, simple as that, and he's a target man. They're crying out for one, and there'll be no... William Gallas came to Tottenham and had a couple of really good years. He played for Arsenal and at Chelsea. Yeah. That's Tottenham's two main rivals.
Well, Michael, there was a story in a newspaper that was really, really exciting the Tottenham fans, but I think Paul Gilmore is about to make those fans unhappy by crushing their dreams. Paul Gilmore, what's happened?
Yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for Tottenham fans, but just calm down a little bit, OK? Because, the feeling here is that nothing will happen on Gareth Bale today. Of course, this is in response to a report in the Times this morning saying that the Tottenham hierarchy are increasingly confident that they've maybe made a breakthrough with a view to getting Gareth Bale, which would be a sensational last-day swoop for their former player, wouldn't it, of course? But yeah, the feeling here is that nothing will happen on that. Some quotes as well from Zinedine Zidane, who's been speaking at a news conference this morning in Madrid, just on reports that Spurs could get Gareth Bale, or certainly Gareth Bale could leave on this final day. And Zidane said, "Gareth is here with us and I am counting on him. I am not contemplating this possibility." So those are the words of the Real Madrid manager, Zinedine Zidane, on Gareth Bale. That's how it stands at the moment.
Paul, thank you. Yes, Gareth Bale not going back to Tottenham, it would appear. I don't think it's a massive surprise. Right, OK, if you've been on Instagram lately, which I know you all will have been, all right, you might have seen our deadline day filter. Loads of you are getting involved in this. It says which club you will sign for on deadline. It's just a little bit of fun. All right, we'll have a little go at it. Mark, I don't think you've done it yet, so just hold your hand down on that question mark. Keep your finger on it. Right, who's Mark McAdam signing for today in these last few hours?
Whoa! So I get to see Anton.
You're off to see Anton to Louis. OK, give me that. Get rid of that. And then Sue Smith, I don't think you've done this yet, or have you?
I'll have a little go.
Put your finger down on there.
OK.
Who is Sue Smith going to sign for? I bet it says Liverpool.
Juventus, I like that. I'll take that.
Following in the footsteps of...
a good player, Sue.
Following in the footsteps of Eni Aluko. Dave Reed, go on. How long have we got? We're going to fit Michael in as well. Oh, this is going to be Birmingham.
Oh,
Southampton.
Down to the south coast.
Come on, bring it over here, come on.
We've got enough time.
Come on, let's do this. Here we go. Right.
Is he pouting?
Oh,
I'm not pouting.
What a pout that is.
Burnley. I love you all, Burnley. Love you.
So why did you groan when you got them? OK, thank you. That's a bit of fun on Instagram. It's a Sky Sports deadline day filter, so get involved in that. Thank you to all of you, especially you, Sue. I know Michael's off to Crystal Palace, so have a good day. We'll be with you all the way until the deadline and beyond. And out in the field already, Emma Payton and Anton Louis will be back to you live at midday for Transfer Talk. Hope you have busy days. I hope you all have busy days. And JD, of course, thank you to him as well. He's on his way to West Ham. But Dave, Mark, myself, we are back at midday for Transfer Talk. Michael, go on, off you go. He's off to Palace. Loads of deals to be done. Fingers crossed.